The new moon in Aquarius on February 1st heralds change. It conjoins Saturn, so the progress will require careful planning, social awareness, and cooperation with others. Stick around to learn more and to find out what it means for your rising sign. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer. I specialize in natal, predictive, and relationship astrology. If you'd like to book a reading with me, there's a link down below. Please subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment or a like. I really appreciate all of the support you guys give me. So before I talk about this new moon in Aquarius, wanted to let you know that I am currently writing personalized February horoscopes. If you're interested in getting one, you can DM me on Instagram or you can email me by checking out the email in my About info on YouTube. So this new moon is happening at 12 degrees Aquarius on Tuesday, February 1st, 12:45 a.m. Eastern. So if you are in Middle America or on the West Coast, for you it's going to happen January 31st. For the rest of us, it's February 1st. This new moon conjoins Saturn and it squares Uranus. So it's activating the Saturn-Uranus square vibes from 2021. Specific hits happened last year on February 17th, June 14th, and December 24th. And that Saturn square Uranus has the energy of desire for change, desire for a break, desire for new things, but needing to be patient, needing to plan things, you know, like it's that bit by bit progress, revolution that doesn't just happen overnight. We need to put in structures in place and we need to think of the future, but make sure we're building it on a solid ground. Aquarian story is quite interesting, right? Like in Greco-Roman myth, Aquarius is represented by Prometheus, and Prometheus was the titan that was quite inventive and rebellious. He's known for, even his name, you know, like his name translates to the one who foresees. So he has a bit of a insight and forethought, right? Like awareness of what's coming. So a lot of Aquarians embody that future-oriented mindset, like thinking about the world and imagining all the possible, sometimes overthinking, right? It's an air sign, and imagining possible scenarios. But that curious streak, that desire to figure something out, to solve the problem, right? Prometheus is known for introducing the mankind to mathematics and astronomy and shipbuilding and medicine. So he was this person who wasn't quite human, but like who saw things that humanity needed. And he's of course known for stealing the fire from gods and bringing down to earth, for what Zeus ended up punishing him and tying him to a rock where his liver was eaten out all day. So Prometheus is the hero, but he's also very much alone and kind of like cast out and a rebel and a criminal from the point of view of the gods. So Aquarian energy holds that duality in it, right? Like it's heroic. There is that element of uniqueness, desire for more knowledge, desire to improve the world, but there's also that lonely path that Aquarians sometimes have to walk, because if they see all the things that aren't working, if they have unique ideas, they might be surrounded by people who are not as open-minded to their views. So I think with this new moon, we are called to look for progress within the section of the chart that is highlighted by Aquarius. And we're also invited to, like Prometheus did like we are invited to seek redemption through helpfulness. And through kind of like, you know, progress and change and doing things that will help others. Mercury is currently retrograde. Mercury started the retrograde in Aquarius. Perhaps, you know, the desire you had was unique and inventive and magical and exciting, but then Mercury went back to Capricorn, and the fact that Mercury is retrograde in Capricorn at this time also makes me think of the fact that we don't know everything. We shouldn't move quickly and we should put some time into planning things first, right? Like, yes, it's the new moon, it's new beginnings, but first you need to reorganize. And some of the things to think about with this new moon is What are some of the new ways of doing old things? What structures can you put in place for achieving your goals, right? Like, how can you come up with a schedule to do things and stick to it? You don't want to just be like, I have this great idea, but you also need to have a plan of getting to your idea. You want to think of people in your life. Aquarius is a very social sign. And you want to think of the ways that whatever you're working on can improve and help the world. The more you do that, the more, I think, happy you will feel with this new moon and the better results you will receive. Let me know if you're feeling any of the things that I'm going to describe for your rising sign in the comments below, and let's just dive in. So for Aries rising, this new moon is happening in the 11th house, the house of friendships, networks, groups, and your fans, right? As well as your hopes and dreams. So new moon is conjoining Saturn, squaring Uranus in your second house. And I feel like for Aries risings, this is very much about finding people who support your true values, choosing true connections, right? Like letting go of people maybe who are not supportive or people who don't fully understand you, and you're just keeping them along because it's an old, trusted, yet, dissatisfying connection. You don't have to cut people off, but, look for people who support you and who agree with you. Mercury is retrograde in your 10th house, so I think you're thinking about your reputation and your status and your goals in life. And so with this new moon, how can you bring more people, or how can you reach out to some people for support as well? Other wonderful things could involve coming up with plans to help the world somehow, right? Like if you've been pondering doing volunteer work or charity work, now is the time. Set intentions that involve giving and helping others, and envision your place amongst society. Like, who do you want to be? Where do you want to stand? What do you want to be remembered for? For Taurus rising, your professional sector is highlighted. Aquarius is your 10th house if you're using whole sign system. Uranus is currently in your first house. So, and Mercury is in the 9th, right? Like you are rethinking your beliefs and your goals, even your place of living or your knowledge, and thinking of how it applies to your career, right? Like, are you studying something, or do you need to sign up for a class that will help you get to the place that you're going? Think of what you want to be known for. What kind of career do you want to be known for? Do you want to be known as like a self-employed person, as a journalist, as a graphic designer, a business owner, or do you want to have stability and work for someone, right? I think with Uranus in the first, you're kind of likely in the first category. Like you want to work for yourself, you want to have the freedom, but you want to make sure once again that you're moving slowly, and think of the ways that your work can benefit the world, as well as the ways that you can add technology into your work, science, astrology, any Aquarian things that are not popular, but things that you enjoy doing. Come up with your own unique approach to career and get to it. For Gemini risings, this new moon is conjoining Saturn in your 9th house and squaring Uranus in the 12th. Mercury is in the 8th. I see this as, for Gemini risings, I see it as, how can your knowledge help the world? What do you have to share? 9th house deals with your philosophies, with your education, with your views. Maybe it's time for you to take things that you have learned, or things that are part of your experience, part of your childhood and your background, and share them. Could be through teaching, could be through mentoring, educating, or even traveling, right? Like maybe you move somewhere and you share your knowledge. Maybe, you speak English and you move to Spain and you start teaching them English. So there's definitely, with this new moon for Gemini risings, there's a possibility for new beginnings when it comes to travel, education, philosophy, religion, legal matters too. Like if you are planning to move somewhere, maybe you can get started on legal matters. For Cancer risings, this new moon is happening in your 8th house. Mercury is retrograde in your 7th, and it squares Uranus in the 11th. So this feels very much about relationships and, relating and dealing with people, dependencies. I think new moon in the 8th house will ask you to free yourself from dependencies. So there's possible insights, right? Like with squaring Uranus in the 11th house, you may realize something about yourself, about the ways you are standing in your own path, what kind of structures and boundaries and past beliefs you're carrying with you that may be limiting you. Are you relying too much on others? Are you just kind of, moving in a certain way in a relationship sector that doesn't feel happy for you anymore, but you're not making any changes? So how can you be more rational in your approach, right? Aquarius can sometimes detach from emotion, and as a Cancer rising, you are a very emotional sign. So like this new moon to me is asking you to step away a little bit from your emotions and to think rationally. How can you sort through agreements you have with people? How can you rearrange dependencies, right? Like, are you sharing custody of a child? Do you have your parent, serve as a nanny, speaking about my friend, and like you want to hire a different nanny, right? Like, how can you take the emotion out? With new moon in the 8th house, there's also a possibility of getting a loan or putting your resources with other people, changing your finances in order to start a new project. Think about the topics of intimacy, vulnerability, and bring in new beginnings, because you're so capable of changing the old patterns. For Leo rising people, the relationship sector is highlighted because it's a new moon conjunct Saturn in your 7th house, and you're really called to take responsibility for your relationships. Do you feel respected? Do you feel heard? Are you in a relationship that is satisfying? How can you change things with Mercury being retrograde in your 6th house? How can you have more honest conversations and bring in more structure to your daily life? 6th house deals with service and problem solving, and maybe you literally just need to figure out what the rules are in the relationship, right? Like, are you the one who takes out the trash, or does your partner do it? Do you pay for groceries, or do they do it? And you just really need to communicate, right? Communicate, and that might lead to new beginnings in your love life. It may bring new partnerships into your life as well, because 7th house is the place of business and one-on-one collaborations. So maybe you're also inviting kind of more, maybe you're starting a project, like a business that deals with technology or something like that for some of you. There's also a possibility of changes in your partner's life that you will have to adapt to. For Virgo risings, the new moon is happening in the 6th house, and it's squaring Uranus in the 9th, Mercury is in the 5th. So for Virgo risings, there's a possibility of streamlining, right? Virgo energy is very analytical. It already likes decluttering and cleansing and organizing. So I think 6th house deals with service, with work life, with groceries, errands, laundry, and maintenance of your life, right? So I wonder if there's a way that you can bring some technology, bring some gadgets into your life that help make things easier, right? Maybe there's a way that you can put better schedule in place, let go of some things that are not serving you, and prioritize your well-being. And let me know if this is resonating in the comments below. But with the new moon in the 6th house, there's definitely a possibility of like new beginnings in diet and health and your career. But it all deals with like, how can you move and make your life easier? How can you make things faster, right? Like, how can you create a solid structure so that you take care of things that are mundane and everyday, and you leave more space for fun. Libra risings have a new moon in the sector of creativity, and it's Aquarius, right? And Saturn is asking you to be structured about your creativity, but it's also inviting you to try new things. Sign up for TikTok, like I'm planning to do, and open, start a website. Mercury is in your 4th house. Maybe you don't even have to leave your house. Maybe you can stay at home and start a creative project. Start creating from your house. Use things that are already next to you. You can use technology to jumpstart your love life, right? Like you can go online and sign up for Tinder or Bumble, whatever you feel excited about. So with this new moon, there's definitely a possibility of new beginnings in the sector of romance, creativity, as well as children. For some Libra risings, this might be the time you start trying for a child, or maybe you get pregnant. For Scorpio risings, this new moon is happening in your 4th house, so the sector of home and family is affected, and it's squaring Uranus in the 7th with Mercury in the 3rd house. So there's possibility of a new beginning in the sector of home and family, and I think just also overall a question of comfort and security. Do you feel happy in your home? Do you feel respected? Do you have healthy communication with every member? Or do you feel like sometimes they take advantage of you? Or, you know, they kind of step into your room and they don't knock? What can you do to be more comfortable? How can you put in solid structures and build it around communication and dealing with siblings and writing in order to find more comfort? And some other things with the new moon in the 4th house, maybe you are investing into a home. Aquarian energy, maybe you're just buying a house in the woods to get the hell away from the world and think about people from afar, right? Like famous line about Aquarians, they love humanity, but they hate people. Maybe you're buying a new unique toilet that has like 50 buttons on it. So think of things in which you can modernize and revolutionize and like make your home more fun. But also, I think the underlying question beneath it all is what makes you happy and secure, and whether you get enough of that or what can you do to change it. For Sag risings, this new moon is happening in your 3rd house. And of course, it squares Uranus in the 6th house. So 3rd house is your skills and knowledge and your everyday life. And what kind of dreams what are you dreaming about? What is your current goal, dear Sagittarius rising? Because 3rd house, in the 3rd house, you make a schedule. In the 3rd house, you get your hands dirty. So you really need to figure out on creating a step-by-step plan, even though as a Sagittarius, you may focus on the big picture. With the new moon in the 3rd house, you're really asked to focus on the smaller things, right? Like, do you need new technology in order to reach your goals? Do you need a different schedule? Do you need to sign up for a class? Projects that deal with writing, right? Like if you're planning to write a book, when are you going to do it? Where are you going to do it? Maybe you need to figure out a space in a local coffee shop that you go to, or, you know, rent a space. Maybe you want to be a baker, but you don't have enough skills, right? Like, or anything 3rd house deals with, like blogging, communication, writing, technology. Maybe it's time to upgrade those things in your life. And while Uranus is in the 6th, I think it's similarly to Virgo risings, like how can you streamline your schedule and your daily life in order to give more time for fun things? So think of that. For Cap risings, the very hardworking sign, the new moon is happening in the house of finances. So, you know, with Uranus being in your 5th house, squaring Saturn in your 2nd house, there could have been that tension all of 2021, and it carries over a little bit in 2022. We'll have more of that later in the year. Tension between your creative projects, between fun in your life, and between finances. So with new moon in the 2nd house, you really need to be structured, right? I've said this word a million times, but you can't escape it. The more structured you are, the more freedom you have. The two go hand in hand, even though sometimes it might seem that Saturn and Uranus have very different roles. How can you be more structured with your budget? Maybe you need to start a savings account, start putting away a few $100s every month. Maybe you need to talk to a bank associate, open a Roth IRA, whatever you need to do to organize your finances in order to have more freedom. Are you planning to have a child, right, with Uranus in the 5th house? Do you have a creative project that you're super excited about? What can you do to organize your money in order to put some money into things that bring you joy? And 2nd house is not just money, it's also your values and things that truly matter to you. So I think the new moon in the second house is very much about, you know, what are you spending your money on? Are you happy with where you are professionally? And if you feel not valued, if you feel not appreciated, maybe it's time to change something, right? And if you're spending money on things that don't really matter to you, it could be the time to change that too. You may be starting a new job, you know, you may be rethinking your finances, maybe you're getting a new source of income. There's definitely a possibility of new beginnings when it comes to money. And maybe, you know, it's Aquarian energy. Maybe you're finding a way to make money through internet or astrology or some kind of like socially minded, future-oriented pursuit. Definitely, you know, brainstorm some of those. For Aqua risings, this new moon is happening in the first house and it squares Uranus in the fourth house, while Mercury retrograde is in your 12th house. So new moon in the first is all about your personal growth and self-development. Maybe you don't have all the answers yet. Maybe you feel pressured and like there's a lot of responsibilities. Things in the home may be kind of asking you to step up and taking away from your self-understanding. But this is actually the time where you want to look within and you want to ask yourself, what is it that you're dreaming about? Because this is the perfect time to reinvent yourself. You know, Sun is in Aquarius, new moon is in Aquarius. Focus on your dreams, sign up for a class that you're excited about, read a book that gives you some answers. Definitely don't hesitate to put some money to your name. Even go and change your look, right? Like whatever makes you feel like more truly, authentically yourself. And Aquarius risings usually tend to be very unique and different than others. So if you felt like you're stuck, maybe it's as simple as changing your look in order to start to feel better about yourself. Last but not least, if you are a Pisces rising, this new moon is happening in your 12th house and it squares Uranus in the 3rd, with Mercury being retrograde in the 11th. So this is very much about your dreams. Pisces risings, both conscious and unconscious dreams, maybe things that you're not even admitting to yourself, and all the ways in which you stand in your own way, all the ways in which you may sabotage yourself. You need to let go of the past. You need to let go of the old ways of thinking, even of the ways of seeing yourself as the person that things happen to. Remember, Jupiter is in your first house. You can make whatever you want to happen, happen. So this is truly a beautiful time to step away from the spotlight. You know, I don't know if you are in the spotlight presently, probably not, with the sun being in your 12th house. But like it's a good time to go within, to meditate, to go for a walk without necessarily asking yourself a million questions and trying to look for answers. But you do really, there is so much potential for you right now for Pisces rising. Jupiter, I love Jupiter in the first house. Like, you know, just try to purge and let go before you go on that next adventure and before you start pursuing your new dreams, because the time is now. I hope you've enjoyed this new moon. I keep thinking it's a full moon. I hope you enjoyed this new moon reading and it resonated. If it did, leave me a comment, leave me a like. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.